Your main man, bringing you commercials you cannot count down and skip in 5 seconds. Today, that's right, before we get into this, we're getting into this. Talking about Within the Ring of Fire. You can get your physical copies on drive2rpg.com. You want to get the PDF bundles. You want to save money on your PDFs, PM me directly here. Hit me on Facebook at MainMan. And we can get those sorted for you directly. Take care of you. Check out Raw Immersive Games. The 2 pages, what you can like, what you can join the community to discuss all the things of Raw Immersive Games, to discuss Within the Ring of Fire and upcoming future games that will be produced by your main man and my illustrious compatriots in the war of immersion, the war for your souls, the souls of RPG. And what we're talking about right now is the episode 13 and the ever oh so very popular Campaign World Builder series. The best series to teach you how to build a fantasy world of your own. Now, this is a series I was putting together while I was writing Within the Ring of Fire. So you know it's good. We have 12 episodes. If for some reason you have not watched these episodes, make sure with utter haste to watch 1 through 12. Learn everything you need to do to put together a campaign world of your own. What are we talking about here? Other worlds. So, if we look at mythology, one of the beginning basic points that we can take away even from a cursory understanding, from the understanding of a 5 or 6 year old, maybe a 3 or 4 year old actually. My son's 6 and he's known about these sort of things for a much longer period. What we're going to talk about is those other worlds. How are they there? What are they? And how do they relate? Nearly every religion has their own ideas of heavens and hells and similar states to these, of strange dreamlands. And when we examine these ideas, wonderful examples in Greco-Roman mythology, in Judeo-Christian mythology, in Norse mythology, in Egyptian mythology, in Zoroastrian mythology, in Hindu mythology, and in so many, many, many more. Let's take a look at the worlds where giants live, where elves live, where the dead live still, where heroes go. And when we begin to envision those sort of ideas, it tells so much about the culture from which we are writing. So you need to have their idea of heaven, of hell, of punishment, of pleasure, of passion, of endurance, of immortality, of love, of hatred. What do they think it is when they close their eyes and they dream? Are there strange things like Naknista that lurk out there in the shadowy aspect of the dream to come down and inspire nightmares upon their soul? Or is it something else, something more beautiful, ephemeral creatures that flit around, muses that inspire the soul and inflame the passions of the artist to great heights? Are there lands where the dead still live? Are they skeletal? Are they burned? Are they frozen? Are they tormented? Are they given bliss and pleasure? Are there powerful godlike things trapped there in eternal servitude, in eternal torture, in eternal waiting? Are there places just behind the mirror? You touch it and it pools like water, and you could slip and slide into that hollow realm? Do the shadows themselves foretell of another place beyond the eye? And what about the area beyond the eye where the Bandersnatch lives? Is that a real place? In fact, are any or all of these places more real than the lands of flesh in which your characters cast their fortune? Or at least which they did before they became player characters and be the catalyst of their own adventures, epic adventures often culminating in tremendous excursions to far distant places. It's like the Planescape campaign in the fabled city of Sigil, or the Brass City, or hell itself, burning fire, the river Styx, or all these wondrous, terrifying, beautiful, horrific places, whatever your mind can conceive. one of the best ways to do it is examine the psychology of the various species that inhabit this world you're putting together. What do they want? How do they want their enemies punished? Those that they did not have the strength to punish, how do they want them punished? And how do they themselves want themselves to be rewarded and their loved ones to be rewarded? And when you start to think about that, and it can come across in many, many different ways, as it has in our world. But how does the mind of an elf or a Vygish tell a different story? And when you think about that story, ooh, all of a sudden you can have something. You can start rocking and rolling just off telling that story, having a wise sage or a theologian sitting around a campfire at a banquet table, and you have your catalyst there, and the players hear that story counted in game in perhaps a span of 4 minutes. They could get very invested, very excited, very interested, very much kind of hinting at you, like, oh, I want to see what the land of 1,000 stars looks like. Oh, I want to see what the forever desert feels like. I didn't know the shadows or the natural element of another place, a place that I could perhaps slide to, a place that perhaps something came from that did terrible things to me. And you can begin to tie all these elements in and weave and pull explanations from odd backstories, and to really give yourself some excellent fuel for that fire of immersive passion. And other worlds can provide a great time to test your narrative ability as a flame tender, as a game master, as a dungeon master, as a storyteller, as a keeper, to really put over on the players. Alright, we're playing Call of Cthulhu, but through these strange gates you found with that silver key, now you're in a whole another place. A surreal world becomes what is before you. And as a game master, when you describe those things, when you describe reality dripping around them, or the way the air feels so very, very different against their skin, or is it their skin at all? Perhaps what steps through into this other world is their soul, a shimmering reflection of what they were. And all of these details can come across and leave your players wide-eyed. It's one of my favorite things as a game master, to run these other worlds. You know, it's like, you know, when the other players get a sense we're doing that, it's rock and roll time. And when you're making these worlds, spin them with all the creativity you have. Just drop it out there. Nothing is impossible, because the laws of physics need not apply. Apply what laws you wish to have, and apply them in a way that makes sense to some component of the psychology of something in that world. Another great thing to think about: everything that people think there doesn't need to be right. In fact, most of it should be wrong. Have fables, have myths, have legends. Have them ascribe things that just plain don't exist, and have them give you completely false information. Well, if you spin around 3 times and pick your nose with your thumbnail, you're going to be protected. And you should be. Because it can be that little sort of thing where you throw that in there as a Nocnista approaches you and you call her grandmother, and she can't do anything directly to you yet. Those little bits of myth, that's what pops. Not, I cast a hold against monsters. No. Bring it in there, man. Use your imagination. Use your creativity. Don't dull yourself to, you know, a simplistic standard that quite readily could be applied by a 10-year-old. You know, use your mind. You're creative people to use interesting ideas and flavor the mythology, the gods, through that. And that's another thing to think about. Where are your gods? Where are your titans? Where are your trolls? Where are your giants? Where are your elder things of vast, tremendous strength? What happens when one achieves apotheosis? Where are these strange realms, and what are they like, and how do you get there? And what happens if you come face to face with Loki or with Zeus? How does that play out in the world? How does it play out in the game, and where are they? And what do they want from you? And what will be the penalty to be paid when you step across the mirror into that land only lit by the slight light that slides through this world? There's something else completely different back there. And when you look in your reflection, if you were to return, you will know